Big Ben renovation. So I haven't told you guys this before, but I have a model of Big Ben. This is it right here. And as you can see, it's basically just a cheap replica of the real Big Ben over in London. I'm pretty sure you know what Big Ben is, but a common misconception that everyone gets wrong, Big Ben is the bell inside the tower, not the tower itself. The bell inside is Big Ben. The tower that it sits in is known as Elizabeth Tower, named after the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II. She's awesome. But see, as you can tell, my model is basically just a cheap replica, and the camera's not at an angle. That's actually a lean. It's been having that lean for a while. So what I did is I had to redo the model's upper half, so basically the clock faces and roof had to be replaced. So this is what it looked like before, and as you can see, it's a cheap replica. Here's some of the stuff I did beforehand, and the arches that you'll see were very delicate. And so after several minutes of drawing and messing up several times, I ended up redoing the faces and attaching them to a new, I'd say like new frame, I guess. I mean, it wasn't completely new, it was just a redo of the old faces. And so after doing the faces, it came time for the roof. And the old roof is gone. I made a completely new roof and it looks way better than it did before. So these arches that you see are for the bell chamber, the first level. And so basically the bells would sit on this, I don't know, like toothpick kind of structure, I guess. Toothpicks are my friend. And so the arches that you see are tiny. They're about the size of my fingernail. Of course, my hands are quite small or large, depending on how you look at them. But the upper level had arches that are that are about a little bit smaller than a pinky nail. And so later, like I said, I went back to the roof, and it is way better than it was before. As you can see, it has like these bunch of little overhanging things. I think my friend Ray calls them dormants. I don't know what they are. If anyone knows, please let me know. And what this refurb was mostly for was to include an actual working clock, which I didn't know if it was even possible. But this is what the tower looked like after, when the roof was completed. It was put together, and as well as the faces were attached. I also reinforced the tower with chicken skewers and toothpicks. I'm a very primeval and very homemade inventor. And so this is what my model looked like when it had its first clock face installed with the hands. We got these little battery-operated clock mechanisms from a local hobby store. We got 4 of them. And so this is what it looked like during testing. I had to make sure that the faces were able to handle this kind of weight, because the model was built in 2013. This is 2018 now, so basically the model is 5 years old at this point. So I had to reinforce it with chicken skewers and toothpicks. And if you don't believe me that we got actual mechanisms, here's a picture. They came in a 4-pack for a couple dollars. Best deal I ever got. And so here it is during testing, where as you can see, the hands are moving, it's just really slow. And see, this was only with one face. I had to make sure that it could handle one face first, and then I had to test it whether it was accurate or not. It is now, but it's not exactly accurate, but it is close. This was recorded over the course of about 10 minutes while I was playing Mario Kart. And so me and my friend Andrew, the guy who let me scare the crud out of people with Foxy for Halloween, we're still doing another Foxy thing this year. We're just trying to plan it. And so what happened next was, my friend Andrew is a mechanical engineer. He is a genius, just like Ray. And so what happened was, I took my model of Big Ben over to his house, and he used a soldering gun to connect all the clocks together, wires for positives and negative sides of the mechanisms themselves. and he used a soldering gun to redo a little battery pack that me and him bought at a local hobby store, which I call the Heart of Big Ben. You'll see later. And then later, I drew up a rough idea of what I wanted. So basically, the idea was to have a battery pack on the bottom, in the bottom of the tower, with wires leading up to the clock faces, one for positives and one for negatives, and thus it creates a circuit. And so later, Andrew and I wired together the battery pack, and over the course of a weekend, we worked on this. Well, he mostly did all the work. I just stood there and watched and helped a little bit. And he wired everything together himself, along with the battery pack, and eventually was able to make sure that everything worked right, and eventually the wires were hooked up together for a testing session, and all the faces worked, which you'll see in this video coming soon. And so this model is the first technological autonomous model. So basically it doesn't need anyone to touch it in order for it to work. It basically runs on its own, just like a real clock. And so this was game-changing for paper projects, because this has never been done before. And if you don't believe me, the pictures are evidence. And so now we're going to hand it over to live action Eric and Andrew so that they can discuss the rest of this for us. Take it away, gentlemen. So this is Big Ben's heart. It doesn't exactly look like the candy from Valentine's Day though. But yeah, Andrew's going to take the camera and he's gonna watch me as I plug in Big Ben's heart. And that's a weird thing to say right there. So these wires are going to be connected to these batteries, and if the clock ever stops or anything like that, then it's going to then basically I need to change the batteries then. So let's hope that this works. So basically what this is it's the most technologically advanced model in my arsenal. So let's hope this works. And Andrew explained to me positive to positive and negative to negative, because we realigned them in parallel rather than series. So the moment I connect this is when Big Ben starts. Okay, not very cinematic, but it works anyway. Oh. Is it moving? Oh my goodness, it's moving! Let's see, let me check the other faces. Yep, that one's moving. That one is moving. Oh my stinking goodness. Let's see, and that one's moving. All four faces are working. The most technologically advanced model ever completed. Okay, so now what we're doing is, to make sure that no one sees the innards of Big Ben, now we're going to stuff his heart into his, we'll just say his rib cage.
There you go.
Of course I am relating this to actual humans. Fun fact, this was actually my piggy bank for a long time. But however, I have a new place for my piggy bank, and I'm not telling any of you where it is.
Hey Eric, where's your piggy bank? Your new piggy bank at?
I'm not telling you, but this model used to be where my piggy bank is.
Oh.
Andrew's that kind of neighbor that you're thinking, if I ever get a foothold, then I'm gonna use that to my advantage. I'm not telling you where my piggy bank is. Okay, so let me turn in towards you. So this is my completed model of Big Ben with a working clock. It is, on my phone it said that a few minutes ago it was 1:25. So looking at it, the clocks are working. So they are moving, just really slowly and subtly. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and this is amazing right here. This is a huge milestone for paper projects. And so this is my model of Big Ben after it's been completely redone. And you've already seen before that the roof had to be redone as well. I like the way the roof looks now. From an architectural standpoint, I don't know what these are, but they're used for fancy stuff. But anyway, the faces do work. If you, like you saw in the time lapse, you'll see that they are moving. So, this originally was, I was originally just gonna paint the faces. Now, as you can see, they are drawn, and I actually drew these faces, all 4 of them, and as you can see, they all look pretty much the same. And the biggest change is obviously the roof, which actually has a functional Big Ben inside. Big Ben the Second, 1856. And if you look, there's actually the bells that sit around it. Like there's one right there. They're all sitting in the corners. Is that a squadron flying over? Anyway, the bell chamber is actually removable. That's what these things are for. These are like tape hinges almost. So it kind of, so basically the roof can be removed if I ever need to get inside, and I'll let you see what it looks like on the inside in a second. And I looked up a bunch of videos to see what it looks like on the inside of Big Ben, and there's like this wooden structure underneath. Look, here's my finger. So look, they're smaller than my fingernail. Some of these arches are the size of my fingernail. So it was very difficult in order to build this. And the same thing up here. These are half as big as the ones down here. I mean, look at how small it is. It gets smaller up here. And also, I have no idea what this thing is on top. So now I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. So this is the innards of Big Ben, and as you can see, the roof is removable. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I know, right? It's just a bunch of wires. So, as you can see, there's these wires, and they all connect to the positive and negative sides. So basically, parallel means that there's 2 wires. There's one for positive, and then there's one for negative. Basically, that's what this setup is in here. And believe me, it was very hard to get all these mechanisms in here in the first place. And there's actually a little cutout of the mechanism that I printed online. As you can see, it's not very noticeable, but the wires actually go down through this tiny hole, through the middle of the model, all the way to the bottom where the battery pack is, which you saw before. One thing I forgot to ask Andrew is, how do I change the batteries when they're dead? But anyway, the batteries go through the middle of the model, up to the top where the positive and negative sides split open, and one side is for positive, the other side is for negative. And this delicate wiring is what powers the clocks. You wouldn't know this is on the inside unless I showed you. And as you can see, there's like little holes every now and then, but however, the model is secure, and if I try and shake it, it doesn't really move that much. The model originally just was taped to this piece of cardboard, as you can see, but now it's actually hot glued. So this is something new. And so guys, I thank you so much for watching, and here's some last footage of my model of Big Ben. If you want more videos like that, or with Ben in it, then let me know. Bye everybody.